The one thing that I miss most about being a kid is, and I wonder if this is the same for you, for me, I had this ability to suspend my disbelief and live in my imagination for hours and hours at a time. It was like a bubble that was created of imagination that I lived in my mind, and I was just going on adventures. What I was playing with, I had a Lego corner, and I had my box of Lego. It was beside the sofa, and I could sit there and play for hours and hours and hours without getting bored, without having a real sense of what I was doing. There wasn't like a goal or an end purpose to. I was just in the moment playing with the Lego. But it wasn't just with the Lego. I mean, that was just a good example. And I would make spaceships and have battles and go on adventures. But in everything, even just my imagination, I could have a stick in my hand and go climb a tree. And I could spend hours. I wasn't bored. I was just playing inside of my head and in the world. And I've lost that as an adult. And it's such a shame that, and this was, maybe under 10 years old, I think around this age, 8, 9, 10 or whatever, you start to lose this ability to live in your imagination. And it's such a shame because it was such a glorious state to be in. I think maybe the best state in life to be in. And as an adult, you can maybe put it up, this bubble of imagination, but the pressure for it to come down and collapse is so high that even if it does, you have to put so much effort to suspend it that it is inevitable going to crash. You cannot have it for hours like we did when we were children. And then the best thing was when you had friends and they could also live in these bubbles of imagination. So you had a joint bubble of imagination and you could sit there and play for hours and hours and hours. And you went on your own adventures. You didn't need the TV. You didn't need a book. And then, video games and stuff came along when we were older. But like even without that, when we were teenagers, you just go and hang it out. And even as a child, I remember, we didn't have smartphones. I'd just go to my friends' houses. My friend lived across the park. There was a park near my house. And then he lived across the other side. And I had to go through these like bushes and climb over his back wall. And it was, pretty tall, at least over 2 meters. And for like a child, that's quite a lot for me to scramble over. I know I could have gone the long way around into his front door, but it led onto his back garden led onto this wall, which led into this park. And so I just climb over the wall and go in and just like be like, hi, uninvited. And then you'd just be like, hey, let's play and hang out. And, and they did that with other friends. You just go and turn up and you had fun. And you spent all this time without worries. You didn't think about the future. You didn't think about bills you had to pay or what you were trying to do or whether anything was good or bad. You just enjoyed the moment and living in the moment and going on adventures, and you make things or try to do silly pranks or whatever it was you were doing. And it was just this continuous journey of fun that as we grow up, we lose. I think the best example of it is in Hook, the movie, where Robin Williams is grown-up Peter Pan and he comes back to Neverland and they're at that dinner table and he's forgotten how to have that magic, to have the imagination. And then they have that imaginary food fight and then suddenly it bursts into colour. And for him, Robin Williams, Peter Pan, in that movie, he was able to then become that childlike state of imagination and playfulness again. But for us as adults, I don't think that is possible for us ever really to be able to gain that level of belief in this illusion, this daydream, this imaginary state, this bubble that we can exist within. And I really regret that we can never do that again. It's only ever such small moments of temporary states of imagination before the world collapses it back down upon you, to suspend your disbelief for a long period of time as an adult. Oh, that would be remarkable. And so I really missed that. And then, obviously just hanging out with your friends as well and going around and just doing stupid shit all the time without any cares or thought for the future or anything like that. It was just like what was fun in the moment. It was fantastic. And you don't realize it at the time, but it's so short-lived, because as soon as you become adults, that all goes away. Now what do I do with my friends? We sit around the table, we complain about life. Where's the fun anymore? It's so bored. I just wish could have been a child forever, I guess. Who wants to grow up to be Peter Pan? It would be a dream. Anyway, thanks for listening. Wish me luck.